Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. My name is Tawana Michelle. I am a licensed mental health therapist and certified clinical trauma therapist. Today, I want to talk to you all about how we can continue our healing journey from parental wounds without vilifying our parents. Now, mind you, this video may not be for everyone because some people may be thinking, I'm not interested in that. You know, they did what they did and I'm not okay with it. I'm still angry about it. I'm resentful. They are the villain. That is fine. I am not here to tell anyone how to go about their healing journey. This is something that would be so helpful for many who struggle with acknowledging that there was some type of parental injury. Maybe there was outright abuse. Maybe there was emotional neglect. Maybe you just didn't get your needs met and feel loved in that parental relationship. And all of that is valid, and it does create some deep-seated wounds that can be difficult to heal from, and it's a long journey. And I think one of the reasons people struggle is that sometimes we don't want to point the finger. We don't want to blame our parents. This is not about blame. It's not about fault in any way. But I hear you and I understand that, and that's something I've struggled with myself at one point in my journey. So now that I am at a different place in my journey, I wanted to sort of give you some tips on how you can get to that place where you can still have clarity about, what happened in your childhood, how your trauma originated, how it was sustained, what you got that you didn't want or deserve, and what you didn't get that you wanted or deserved, how you can still be able to honor that for yourself, but at the same time, let go of the anger and let go of the resentment. And it's not necessarily about forgiveness, but I think it naturally happens, right? When we change our perspective and start seeing things differently, forgiveness and compassion is just a part of that. And it doesn't make it right, doesn't justify what we went through, but that's just a part of it. So I'm going to give you 5 tips on how you can continue to heal and do what you need to do for yourself without necessarily vilifying your parents, without calling them the narcissistic parent, or just seeing them only through that lens. Not to say that your parents are not narcissists, because they may be, they probably are. But is that all that they are? Are those all the experiences that you have from them? That may be true. Like I said, this video isn't for everybody. But for some of us, myself included, it wasn't like that. There were some extremely frightening, chaotic moments in my household growing up as a child. But there were also lots of fun, positive moments. I have memories of both. First thing that I want to talk about is the benefit of seeing your parents as human beings. I know that it's hard to do, especially when we were children. Like, they were not just human beings, they were super beings. They were, these huge, powerful people that we depended on for our survival in every aspect. And the inner child in us that still needs that parent, wants, craves that, especially if you never got that, you still have a hard time seeing them as humans with their own issues and being multifaceted than being just your parents who are supposed to be there for you, love you, take care of you, help you feel good about yourself, and give you a great life, growing up. If we can kind of tap into the adult parts of ourselves and look at our parents full scale, big picture, zoom out, and look at who they were as a whole. If we are able to see them as a person who had their own struggles, who had their own issues, who were definitely not perfect, and sometimes were maybe just outright horrible or neglectful, we can see that there are different parts of them, just like there are different parts of us. And we don't necessarily have to focus on the parts about them that were hurtful, the parts about them that we didn't like, parts about them that we think are narcissistic or whatever, toxic or whatever other word that you want to use. We can also see that as being one part of who they are, because as a human being, that is the reality. It's not all or nothing, black or white. They were possibly these people who hurt you, but they were also these people with their own issues, their own past, their own daily struggles, their own parental upbringing, which may not have been great, probably wasn't, if they ended up not being able to parent you in the way that you deserved. So that's the first tip. Just tap into the adult part of yourself. Honor the child part. Recognize you deserved what you didn't get. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be cared for. You deserve to be treated well. You deserve to have an emotional attachment to your parents that felt healthy and safe. That inner child self still needs to be taken care of, but we can also come out of that and tap into our adult self and say, that's true and not but, right? Two truths can coexist. That is true. And I can also see them as a human being with their own struggles and issues, and maybe wanting to, but not being able to give me what I need. I can integrate both of those truths, and it feels better. It helps me feel better about myself. It helps me feel better about my parents. But not only is it better, does it feel better, it's more accurate. I know there are parts of myself that I have not liked. There are things that I've done that I've not been happy with. And I'm not going to say I've done anything egregious, especially when it comes to my kids. But still, would I want to just be judged solely on those parts of me? No, I wouldn't. And I also don't want to just solely judge anyone else on those parts, including my parents. And the second tip here is related to the first. Recognizing that they have their own unresolved trauma, right? Because they are human beings, they have their own stuff. They came into parenthood with unresolved trauma. And being the age that I am an Xer, my parents are baby boomers. They weren't getting any therapy and getting any knowledge about how to heal trauma, how to regulate your nervous system. We have a wealth of knowledge now because we have access to therapists and all types of healers and coaches on the internet. Just like what I'm doing with you today, we have access to all of this. Podcasts, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. So we are flooded with information to help us gain some insight and clarity about what we may be experiencing, what types of traumas we may have, and how we can even go about healing them. My parents did not have that, but they definitely had their trauma. Can I hold them accountable for not doing something about it, for trying to get some help, for trying to heal and work through it? Yeah, I can. I can also understand that they had the trauma. I can also have compassion for the parts of them that were suffering. And I also know from my own complex trauma that it is incredibly difficult to parent when you have unresolved emotional pain and trauma that interferes with your ability to have deep, safe, meaningful emotional connections, even with your children. It's probably one of the most challenging things you'll ever do, having unmet needs as a child chronically, and then having your own children and trying to give them something different. So I think just having that empathy and that compassion goes a long way with being able to move past the personalization of it. Because what happens is that when we don't understand and have compassion, then we internalize it and we think it must be about me. That's how we develop these negative core beliefs of unworthiness, of inadequacy, of being unlovable. Must be something about me, especially as a child, right? I can't see my parents as bad, hurtful, not being there for me. So it must be me. And we start to internalize that and we start to believe there must be something wrong with me. And it's just not reality, right? It's not reality that there's something wrong with you. It's not reality that you're unlovable. The reality is parents are human with their own trauma. They didn't get help and they needed to. And as a result, you were hurt in some way, emotionally, physically, mentally, or all of the above. And it just helps to know that, you know. Doesn't necessarily take away any of the pain because that comes with lots of grief. That comes with lots of trauma processing. but it makes it less about you. That was so empowering and eye-opening for me when I discovered, wait, there's nothing wrong with me. These people just had their own stuff. There's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. Like, wow, when you can believe that, it's life-changing. The third helpful thing here to continue healing without vilifying your parents is to practice radical acceptance of their limitations. Because they are human, because they have their own trauma, they also have a very limited capacity to meet your emotional needs. They have a very limited capacity to parent and take care of you in the way that you need. They are handicapped in that area. And if we can fully accept that, not approve of it. Many people struggle with acceptance because they equate it to approval. You don't have to approve of it. You don't have to like it. You're not giving them a pass because of this. And you're not saying, it's okay. You're saying, I get it. You did not have the capacity. I accept it. Does it still hurt? Yes. Do I have some anger? Sometimes. Do I still feel sad? Often. Do I still struggle with trying to develop healthy relationships? All the time. So I can have all of that awareness and I can still have these issues and know that my parents caused it, and also know that they did not have the capacity. Radical acceptance of who they are and their limited ability to do what I needed them to do. The fourth tip on how you can continue to heal without vilifying your parents, and this helps more with the continue to heal part. Find your closure within yourself. I'm not saying you can't have conversations with your parents about your childhood, what you needed and didn't get, or what you got and didn't need or deserve. I'm not saying you can't have those conversations, because you can, and it might lead to some sincere apologies. It might lead to some reconnecting, rebuilding, reestablishing a connection that feels safer. That may happen. But if you really believe your parent is a narcissist, if you really believe your parent does not have the capacity, remember we talked about accepting the limited capacity, then trying to get closure from them is not going to happen. And it's not going to, if you do, it's not going to be authentic. It may be another form of manipulation. It may turn into them deflecting and projecting onto you. It may turn into them getting defensive. It may turn into more tension and conflict. That's why all of these other tips that I gave you are so important. If I know they're human, I know they have unresolved trauma, I know that they have limited capacity to meet me where I need them to meet me, why am I going to seek out what I need from them now that I'm in my healing journey? I'm not going to get it. I had a trauma therapist that I saw a while ago, and she was sort of adamant about talk to your parents, tell them how you feel. That is a great release. That can be cathartic. That can feel empowering. It's not, for me, healing if it's going to lead to more tension, conflict, and pain. Now, you can go into that without any expectations, right? You can say, this is purely for my benefit. I'm going to tell them how I feel. I'm going to have my voice. That can be helpful. And I have no expectations of what I need. And I have no expectations of them to acknowledge, accept accountability, to express remorse. That's easier said than done. Why? Because that child part of ourself is going to show up. And that child part of ourself that always needs mommy or daddy to see me, to love me, to understand me, to take care of me, is gonna have expectations. So for some of you who have done that and it's been effective, that is great. I don't push my clients to do that. Anyone with interpersonal trauma, I rarely will coach them to seek that type of closure or interaction with the person who hurt them, because typically we're dealing with someone who has limited capacity, I'll say, without throwing out labels, and they're just not able to do it. And when we keep seeking something from them that they can't give, we are repeating and recreating that trauma over and over and over again. And we're prolonging our healing. We don't want to do that. We don't need to do that. We get what we need from ourselves and through other supportive relationships and healing professionals that we have in our lives. If they don't have the capacity to give it, stop seeking it. In any relationship, this is not just parental. I see this over and over and over in romantic relationships. I see this in friendships. Like, we have to accept people as they are for who they are and make a decision accordingly. I know who you are. You've shown me over and over. I accept it radically, completely. And I may have to walk away or set some healthy boundaries. And that actually leads me to the 5th tip and the last tip that I'm going to give you about how to continue to heal without vilifying your parents. Again, this is also about healing, protection, and safety. Continue to set those boundaries. You may even feel like you have to go no contact or maintain your no contact. That is okay. You can still do that and be able to see your parents as humans who have suffered trauma themselves and who don't have the capacity and didn't have the capacity to meet your needs. I can have all the compassion in the world and all the empathy, and that doesn't mean I have to put myself in a situation where I can be victimized again. The process really is for you. Now, those of you who do want to continue having a relationship with your parents, or maybe you want to try and rekindle something with them, this can be helpful for you. Those of you who want to stay estranged, this can be helpful for you also. But if you want something sort of in the middle, not extreme, not black or white, then you might be able to have a relationship with your parents and still set those healthy boundaries and still work on your healing. You can use this to still do your own work, still protect yourself emotionally, mentally, in whatever way you need to, and still have your parents in your life in some way without completely vilifying them. Or not have your parents in your life, but not completely vilifying them. Not because it benefits them, but because it benefits you. It helps you see the reality of the circumstances, and it helps you depersonalize it and know that you're actually okay. Just because they didn't give you what you needed never meant that you didn't deserve it. Just because they couldn't show love in the way that you needed never meant that you were unlovable.